Hey class, so this is what we're going to do after I grade every rough draft and every final draft. I'm going to make a video where I've taken paragraphs from different people's essays and I want to highlight certain common errors that are happening throughout. It's essential that you watch the video and you watch the whole video before you go and you revise your own essay. If we were actually in a classroom, we'd probably spend the entire class looking at this stuff. So because we're not in a classroom and you can't like sit there and ask me questions, I want you, after you watch this video and you go back and you look at your own essay, to get in touch with me if you have any questions about how to revise or if something's not clear. I'm happy to text with you about it. I'm happy to meet with you on Zoom if you want. I'm happy to talk to you on the phone, whatever works for you if you do have questions. You might not have questions. I might make this video, you look at the video, and it's everything's crystal clear. So there's a lot of accidental plagiarism happening still, where people are not citing early enough in body paragraphs or not citing in body paragraphs at all. So I want to remind you, actually, I'm going to put this up here, how every body paragraph is going to look this semester. You're going to have a topic sentence. The topic sentence is going to open the paragraph. It's also going to connect to the thesis. So that's why in Essay 1, every topic sentence had to bring up an event that happened that changed Mallow in some way. Additionally, a lot of you aren't using transitions. So you want to have like one event that changed Mallow, blah, blah, blah. And then the next paragraph, in addition, furthermore, etc., etc. The PowerPoint has a lot of suggestions for transitions, and I'm linking the PowerPoint at the bottom of each module. So if I've said in your comments that you need to go back and review the PowerPoint, there it is. All right, topic sentence. Now, once you start using specific material from a source, in this case, the book Buck, you have to cite the source. And we're citing the source, as you know, using narrative citation. So that means according to Asante 2013, or in the book Buck. And remember, Buck is a book. The title gets put in italics. So one way or the other, you're citing the source right before you start using material from the book. Now, some of you are just citing when you have a quote. That doesn't work. That means anytime you paraphrased or talked about something from a book and didn't cite it before, that means that's plagiarism. So we're citing when we both quote and when we paraphrase. So anytime you're taking anything specific from any source this semester, you have to cite the source. And you're going to cite the source using narrative citation, which means it's part of the sentence, and using APA, which means it's immediately followed by the year in parentheses. All right, once you've cited the source, you can paraphrase it, or I always make mistakes typing when I know people are watching, or quote only if jazzy. All right, there's a lot of jazzy stuff in the book Buck, but as you're probably reading the material for this module on ACEs, that stuff is not particularly jazzy. It's probably stuff you're going to paraphrase. So you've cited the source, you've actually used the source by paraphrasing or quoting. Then you want to go back in and comment on the source by either breaking it down, connecting it to something. In rare occasions, you're going to be giving your opinion, but that's only if you're writing an essay that's actually kind of asking for your opinion. In one way or another, you're going to comment on the source. At that point, you're going to wrap up the paragraph, or if you're going to use the source again, like a different part of the source, or you're going to use another source. Essay number 2 is going to ask you to use multiple sources. You cite the source before you use it again. Okay, so this is the model that we really need to follow. So here's a body paragraph that's just super tight. So I want to use it as like an example as we look at some that are problematic. So here we have the topic sentence. I'm going to do something a little corny, but I've been doing it for years and I find it really helps students. I'm going to put material that comes from you as the writer in yellow, and anything that comes from the source, I'm going to put it in green. We want this to be a sandwich. So you should have yellow at the beginning and yellow at the end. In other words, you as the writer with the topic sentence in the beginning and you as the writer commenting at the end. So an event that changed Mallow was when his father had left his mother and him. This should actually had left him and, well, either, it works that way. Him and his mother, he and his mother. Okay, so this belongs to the writer. I'm making it yellow. According to Asante, now we're shifting into using the source. So I'm going to start making it green. You'll notice, according to Asante 2013 flawless citation, you'll also notice that when there's a quote, you're going to end the quote with parentheses, P period, space, the number, parentheses, and the period. You don't want a period at the end of the quote when you're using a page number. You want the period to be at the after you've used the page number. So all of this is from the source. So I'm going to make it green. Then the writer went back and commented. The reason Mallow did this, so this is like the writer's going back and kind of analyzing what's happening in the scene. Comment can be more than one sentence. In this case, it's a couple sentences. All right, so this looks like a perfect source sandwich. Starts with the writer, source is cited, the quote is immediately followed by the page number. All of this gets put in green, and then in this paragraph, the writer went back and commented, and that becomes yellow. Now I'm going to show you a couple paragraphs that had problems. Okay, so here we don't have the source cited. So one of the events that changed in Mallow was his older brother Uzi moved out and was arrested. So this is a good topic sentence. Right here, the writer needed to cite the book and didn't. So what that means is all this material came from the book, but it's not cited. This ends up being plagiarism. It's accidental because I know the writer didn't intend to do it. And in English 101, you get to revise it when you have accidental plagiarism, but you don't necessarily in English 102, and you don't in history or psychology or sociology. When you write essays, your college professors don't care if it's accidental plagiarism or not, which means you really have to be on your toes. So here, Asante writes, that solves the problem. We've cited the source here, all right? So also I want to call your attention to, we don't use page numbers unless there's an actual quote. So here there's a quote, but we want to take out this period and only use the period after the page number. We also want to add a space, okay? So this looks good because the page goes from 69 to 70. Oh, actually, no, we don't need this one because this isn't a quote. No page numbers unless you're using a quote. So down here, there is a quote. Want to take out this period. We want to add a space, and we want to put the period after the year in parentheses. So now this looks really solid. So this becomes the source is cited. It ends here. This is all green. And then this is where the writer goes in and comments. So I want to make that yellow. So I'm just doing these colors for the sake of showing you exactly how to do this stuff. I don't want you to go back in and, you know what, when you're proofreading, when you're going through your essay, you can do these colors if you want to keep yourself like sort of on your toes. It's a really good way to check and make sure you are in fact properly sandwiching the source in each paragraph, but take the highlighter out before you submit it. Okay, I think I can only record a 15-minute video. I'm using Screencast-O-Matic, so you're probably going to have a part 1 and a part 2 to this video. Absolutely watch both. So you might have a half hour of video to watch today before you revise. I know that might seem like a drag, but I swear to you, this is where writing really gets improved. I could have you write 20 essays. You're not going to be better as a writer by writing 20 essays and not revising. You're going to be better as a writer writing fewer essays and improving them, getting feedback, looking at what you did incorrectly or what you need to expand on. That's where you get better as a writer, by revising things. All right, next one. This also does not cite the source. The man Mallow became after that night, he gave his father Chaka an ultimatum, and his father still decided, okay, so this is the event, needs to cite the source. So because the source didn't get cited here, this ends up being plagiarism. This paragraph ends up being plagiarism, which means the whole essay gets a 0, but you get to revise it. Okay, so the source gets cited right here. And then the page numbers, same thing. You want to get that period out of the quote and put it after the actual page number. Next one, where it says from the start, Asante opens the book. This is technically a citation, but you got to follow it by the year in parentheses. Now, if you're going to use Asante later in the same paragraph, you don't have to follow it with the year in parentheses, just the first citation. So down here, the writer is throwing this in. This is not how we're citing in this class. We're doing narrative citation. This should have been clear from that very first PowerPoint, as well as from the sample source sandwich paragraph that y'all did. So we're not doing it in parentheses here. We're doing it as part of the sentence up here. So to end this quote, if this quote ends on page 23, we're going to take that period out. We're going to put parentheses, small p period, 23 parentheses period, and then take all this out because it's incorrect. So now this looks good. So we have a topic sentence belongs to the writer. This looks like it's all from the source until here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say, because this says Mallow finds himself among bad company, missing school, having sex, selling drugs. This is all still from the book. So what happens is this doesn't have a comment at the end. So if this were an actual sandwich, it wouldn't, to go with the sandwich metaphor, you are the bread, you're yellow, you're the bread. It's challah bread, it has egg in it, that's why it's yellow. You need bread at the end, AKA you need to go back as the writer and comment. Imagine if you went to a diner and you got a sandwich and it didn't have bread on the bottom, and you went to pick it up to eat it, and you got like meat and mayonnaise and whatever else on your hands on the bottom. You would not be happy. Sandwiches have to have bread, AKA you the writer at the beginning, bread, AKA you the writer commenting at the end. Okay, same deal. This writer is only citing down here with the quote. Again, we don't just cite with quotes. We have to cite as soon as you start using material from the book. Paraphrasing without citing, putting something in your own words without citing, is plagiarism. So this needs to go up here. So here's the topic sentence. So according to Asante, 2013, now we've got that citation. So all this has to do is, we don't have to have the citation here, just the page number. Remember, the citation goes exactly where you start using material from the book. Another thing that I want to really get you out of the habit of is something called a passive verb. You want your verbs to be active. M.K. Asante states, not as stated by. This as stated by, construction as written by, as mentioned by, is called a passive verb. You definitely don't want to do it in college writing, okay? So I'm going to show you one more real quick, and then this is going to run out of time, and I'm going to start a new video. So here we also don't have a citation. When you see these blue lines on your document, generally that means you've added too much space if it's between two words. So here, cite the source up here where you begin using it. When you're going to use the page number, remember it's just lowercase p with one space, and then I think there's an extra space here, and then the period after, okay? So citations go right before you start using any kind of material from the book, whether you put it in your own words or not.